All right, it's Tuesday, back in biceps. So we're doing bands and dumbbells today. Combination of the two, but before we do, we need to do a quick warm up. Yesterday was chest and triceps, so I want to go ahead and loosen up the chest a little bit, get the shoulders warm. Grab the bands. So a lot like our chest workout yesterday, some of the movements will be bands only, some will be dumbbell only, and some a combination of both together. So I had this interesting thought yesterday, saying about how when we face challenging times in our life, maybe things aren't going in the way that we want, or you just feel like things are stacking up, just not going in your favor. Those are the things that make us stronger. Those are things that help us grow. And you can embrace that idea and use that to push past those situations. But there's a difference between just dealing with them or pushing past them and actually learning how to still enjoy life in the process. And so here's the thought that I had. It's not some sort of epiphany. That'd be way too strong of a word. But if you learn to love the burn that you get in a good workout, right? You get the pump, you get that burn, and you start to associate that feeling with results, and then you start to seek that out. You're disappointed if that workout isn't super hard, and you also start to associate maybe even that soreness that you get the day after or 2 days after. You associate that with growth as well. So same thing. Pretty soon you're disappointed if you're not a little bit sore. And that's where you start to really enjoy your workouts. It's no longer this struggle of like, oh God, it's uncomfortable, or I'm so sore, or all those negative things. You start to actually appreciate and enjoy those things. So imagine if you could take that same principle and bring it into your everyday life, where all those obstacles, all those things that you know that you have to get through, you know that they're going to make you stronger and better, but to actually enjoy the process. Like just kind of smiling. And it's almost like at the end of a good workout, you're like, yeah, good workout. Well, if you could take that same attitude into life's normal struggles and be like, yep, good workout. Now it's easier said than done, but that is kind of where my head's at lately. All right, little internal, external rotation. Warm up the rotator cuff. Oh, yep. Let's get our head right before we get into this workout. Let's make it a good one. A few more. All right. Some arm circles forward. A few more, and we're going to reverse it and go backwards. All right, backwards. Chest might be a little tight from yesterday. It's a good way to help open it up. The goal here isn't just warming up our shoulders. Yes, it's a warm up, but it's also a way to strengthen and condition those smaller muscles in our shoulder. All right, let's do a light chest stretch. Nothing aggressive here. Other side. All right, nice. So we are going to start with some rows. Now, probably going to stick to the same format for the most part that we did yesterday, where we were doing some of these things, like I said, with just the bands, then we'd do it with just the dumbbell, then we would add the two together. But I'm going to kind of freestyle it too here, just have a little bit of fun. I'm going to show you my favorite variations of some of these moves. So for the first one, dumbbell rows. Because my low back is always all jacked up, I don't like doing a lot of bent over rows, whether it's bar, dumbbell, etc. I prefer to do things where my chest is supported, so it's not putting that stress on my low back. So pull out this bench, put it on an incline. We're about there. Now, come in here, supported. Now I can just really focus on getting a good squeeze without having to worry about my low back. So, we could do these with bands. I was just looking to see if there was a good place to anchor these on this bench. There is, but I don't want to overcomplicate this. So we're just going to go right into dumbbells. But if you wanted to do a set with bands, easiest way, just come in here, grab the band close to your feet, keeping that back straight, and you're just going to row up. Focus on driving those elbows back, squeezing those shoulder blades together. See, the arms are in neutral position. Elbows aren't super flared. I'm not coming to the hip. I'm not supinating my hands, just a neutral position. Bring my hands right underneath my chest. So we're going to take that same exact concept, bring it into dumbbells here. Typically, the way that I get set up is I'll pop them up here on the bench, slide into position, and I'm kind of pressing them towards the side of the bench here to control it. When I'm in position, then I'll lower them down. So, chin up, chest out. Want to keep that back nice and flat. If nothing else, ideally you'd like a little bit of an arch. So I like to look up and forward. And we're going to squeeze all the way till that dumbbell hits the bench. Of course, nice slow jam. There's 6. Notice I'm getting a little squeeze, a little pause at the top. I prefer that. Really try to maximize that range of motion all the way. 9. 10. 11. One more. It's a little light. I'm gonna finish it off with a few reps with the band. Why not? I say going right from dumbbells to these, I do love the squeeze I'm able to get with the bands. Oh, just feels different. Let me do one more. Nice. Maybe that's what we'll do here. Every set, we'll just finish off with a few extra reps there. As soon as I change song. All right. Go up in resistance and then do a quick stretch for the back in between our sets. We're trying to keep our rest periods a little shorter, 90 seconds. Turn those feet into it. Drop that butt back. You should feel all the way through. All right. Now, I used to do a lot of single arm rows on a bench if the bench was flat. So bracing one hand, doing a row here. Through the years, I just found that I never really got the squeeze I was looking for, and I was using ridiculously heavy dumbbells. You can move a lot of weight that way, but just because you're moving a lot of weight doesn't mean you're really targeting the muscle the way you want to. So for me, I've learned that little less weight and just using better, what I call my muscle connection. I know everyone uses that word, but I think there's a lot of different definitions out there based on what I hear people saying. For me, what I mean is putting my focus in that muscle that I'm trying to target and really focusing my efforts where I'm making that muscle work harder and trying to minimize the other muscles that are assisting. So for a row, your muscle that's assisting is going to be the biceps. So I want to try to minimize that. So I'm not thinking about pulling my hands up. I'm thinking about driving my elbows back. And squeeze. We're going to control the speed here. Nice and controlled. Makes that lighter weight feel much heavier. Six. 7. 8. 9. 3 more. 10. 11. 12. Now, we talked about this the other day about wrist straps, pros, cons. When you're doing a little bit slower rep speed, more time under tension, means you're literally having to hold on to that dumbbell longer. And it's easy for your grip to start to fade. So here's my rule of whether I use straps or I don't use straps. If I get halfway through my set and all my focus starts to go to my hands or my forearm because I feel like my grip is fading, That means I'm taking attention off the muscle I'm trying to work, which is my back. That's when I'll use straps, because I want all of my focus, that mind-muscle connection, to be in my back, not in my forearms and my hands. Grab some water. Stretch in between, real quick. Ah, shit. Spent so much time talking, I forgot to do our extra reps with the band. We'll make this set count. All right. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. It's right here, my hands. 8, starting to fade my grip. 9, 10. So I don't know about you, but when that starts to happen, I find myself trying to rush through the set, and then I'm losing that control that I'm looking for. All right, here we go. That's what I say with straps. There's just a time and a place. Don't use them for everything. Don't overuse them. But there's times where they can be a helpful tool. Let me do 2 more. So directly comparing the two, the benefit of using this isn't going to be down here in the beginning of the range of motion. It's where you have the least amount of resistance with the band. Where you have the most is when it's stretched. So here at the peak of the contraction. So with bands, I definitely like to try to maximize that range of motion and really focus on the squeeze. You could even do partials, like if you want to come in here right at the top and just get these small pulses. Partials can be a great training tool as well. Doesn't mean you want to do everything that way, but mix it up. Whatever it takes to really fatigue that muscle. So we're done here. That was 3 sets. Let's see what we have here. I think we're moving to a biceps move. No, we're going to do a band pull down. So I've shown a couple different ways that we can do this. Anchoring it up top. If you don't have a bar, if you have a door anchor, you can anchor it at the top of the door. But I'm going to show you one other variation. All right. Different ways you can do it. You can anchor the band through itself. And you hold each side. For this, you have more resistance this way. Simply just throw it over the top of the bar. And now, we can lock our hands in here almost like a lifting strap. Take some of the focus off our hands. So instead of sitting on the bench or kneeling on the floor, I'm just going to do these standing. This might be too much resistance, actually. Oh, yeah. Way too much. All right. So, really doesn't matter with bands your body position, because we're no longer having to adjust our body position to our plane of resistance with weights, which is a vertical plane of resistance because of gravity. So if you want to train chest with weights, we have to lay down on a bench to orient ourselves correctly. With bands, you can create resistance on any plane. So I can do these kneeling, sitting, bent over like this, and still getting the same squeeze. My only problem here is I'm rushing these. These are going way too fast. I should slow it down. There we go. That automatically just kicked up the intensity. Let me do a few more like this. One more. So all back movements. Think about driving those elbows, not pulling the hands. It's going to be the same way with pull downs, rows, all of it. And where you'll really notice, if you're watching someone else, it's going to be at the elbow. So let's pretend I'm doing seated cable rows. If someone's using a lot of biceps and they're thinking about pulling with their hands, it'll look like this. Look at the elbow position, right? Elbows stopping at the side, but look at how much movement is at the elbow, right here. That means you're using a lot of biceps as opposed to driving the elbows back. So not only are the elbows moving further backward, but see how I've minimized the movement at the elbow. So still using some biceps, just trying to minimize it and put more of the focus on the back. And it's still a compound movement, it's just more targeted. Now, if your goal was just strength, how much weight can you move? Then I would say, sure, use as much biceps as you want to. So, nice little arch in the back. Drive those elbows down. I like to think about a little bit out and then down. Eight, 9, 3 more. 10, 11. Now, personally, I feel these more in my lats than I do with a regular lat pull down with a bar. Being locked into a bar, now all of a sudden that's a closed chain exercise. You can't move your hands closer together or further apart. They're locked in here. And so it requires a lot of discipline with your technique to get that same squeeze. With bands, just that little bit of freedom of movement allows you to zero in and make little micro adjustments until you feel a much stronger contraction. All right. We got one more set of these. Grab some water. So one more set. Then we're going to move to some biceps curls. All right, here we go. Funny thing is, watch people trying to move a whole weight stack doing lat pull downs. And they may be moving the weight, but that doesn't mean they're getting that super strong contraction in the lats. Now, if you have someone do biceps curls, they know what that feeling feels like when that muscle just balls up real tight and you feel that really strong contraction. But a lot of people don't know what that feeling is in their lats because they're too worried about moving a bunch of weight, and they end up sacrificing the necessary range of motion to get that strong contraction. There's 8. 4 more. 10. So after doing bands only for 4.5 years and deciding to start integrating some weight training back into it, a lot of people asked if I did it because I felt the bands weren't effective enough. That wasn't the reason at all. I actually felt great those 4.5 years. I felt like I was strong. My physique looked the way I wanted it to look. I was injury free, so my body felt good overall. The only reason I brought the weights back in, one, my teenage son wanted to learn how to train weights or with weights. You know, bands didn't seem as cool to him. And for me personally, it was just fun to bring some, variety back into it. But with that said, I still love band training. And I think there'll come a day where I probably will ditch the weights again and I'll just go back to only bands. They're just such an effective training tool. They're versatile, portable, but most importantly for me is I'm able to train really hard without aggravating all the old injuries, shoulders and elbows and all that. All right. We're going to do curls, but we're going to do we're going to do what we did with our rows. We're going to do dumbbells and then immediately do a finisher with the bands. So why don't we do this? Let's go heavy enough to get 10 controlled reps, not sloppy, nice and controlled. So whatever the weight is that you normally do, if it's like super fast reps, we want to slow it down a little bit, control those concentrics, control the eccentrics. So maybe drop the weight down a good 15, maybe even 20%. See how I feel. I've had a biceps issue here for quite a while, so we could do these as singles, but I'd rather rip through this workout quicker. So instead of doing alternating, I just do both arms at the same time. So turn that pinky up, supinate the hand here at the top, but then go back to a neutral position at the bottom. There's 8. 2 more. So what I'm chasing is hitting that wall or failure, but using good form, which is right here. And now, grab the band. Oh boy. There's 4. Let's do one more. Good one. Oh, man. Nice. Hand on top of your other hand. Extend your arm. A little bit of a bicep stretch. Other side. Grab some water. Get ready for set 2. After this, we always have one more back exercise. We'll switch up, do a little bit different, and then we've done it over the past couple weeks. Whew. That felt awesome, actually. Do that exact same thing here. All right, here we go. Oh, already hard. It's 3. 4. 5. 6. 6. We're gonna do a little drop set. I'm gonna drop the weight. Keep it going here. That was 6. We get 4 more. 7. 8. 9. One more. Yikes. All right, this is gonna suck. Here we go. There's 2. 3. 4. One more. So in a situation like that where I think that was at 6, I hit the wall, I would rather drop down, which is basically a mini drop set, but drop down in resistance to finish off that set with good controlled form, as opposed to hitting that wall and then all of a sudden, doing all these sloppy forced reps. But that's just me personally. Some people like forced reps, but when I get sloppy, that's usually what ends up leading to some sort of nagging pain or injury. So through the years, I've strayed away from that. I'd rather keep everything under control. So we're gonna do one more set here. A little stretch. It's both back and biceps. Okay. Nope. Alrighty. So knowing that I crashed out at 6 with these, I think I'm going to start here. Get 10 continuous ones if I can. Now you notice the intensity is there without using a bunch of weight. Try it for yourself. Especially getting that good squeeze at the top. Don't stop here. Squeeze it all the way up. That's 5. 6. 7. So another technique is what's called the rest pause. We're going to go back to that same weight. Just shake it off for a second. And you get 3 more. One. 2. One more. 3. And now the bands. Again, totally different feeling than the dumbbells. There's 3. 2 more. 1 more. Nice. Now, with the first couple weeks of this program, this 16-week progression, we don't have as many exercises. Like today, it's only one exercise specifically for biceps. Although we're using them in our pull downs and our rows, we're already working the biceps, but this is our only bicep specific exercise. But if you make it count, you go in there and you train super hard, it's really pretty much all the stimulus you need. As we progress and get more into some of our advanced training, that's where we're going to bring in more exercises and more angles. But the key here is you can make up for a lot with intensity. And you can create intensity other ways than just increasing the resistance. Say this a lot, but I'm going to keep saying it. Control. More controlled rep speeds, more time under tension, right? Nice controlled concentrics, get that isometric squeeze, control the eccentric, use the mind-muscle connection. Think about squeezing and making every rep count. Make it extra hard. That was 3. That felt like an awkward 3. All right. So we've been doing with bands, we've been doing a variation of a, you call it a rear fly if you wanted to, or a pull apart, but it's low. So I want to show this again with both resistance bands and dumbbells, the difference between trying to target rear delts with a rear fly versus trying to target back. And so here's the difference. Whether we use dumbbells, bands, it's all the same. If I want to hit more of the rear delts, if this is a shoulder day, I'm going to keep my arms a little bit straighter and I'm going to think about going out to the sides. And I'm going to come up a little higher, more in line with, I would say, my ears. I don't need to come too far back because as soon as I do, I'm starting to use bigger, stronger muscles in my back. And on shoulder day, we're trying to target rear delts. But on back day, we want to do the opposite. I like to get a slight bend in my arm, keep it about there the whole time. And what I'm thinking about doing is driving my elbows backwards and squeezing my shoulder blades together as I do it. So it looks like this. And you notice it's lower. This is underneath my chest as opposed to high and out to the sides like we would for rear delts. So here's rear delts. This is back. So we can do the same thing with bands, do the same thing with dumbbells. Let's start with dumbbells. We can do them bent over. We can do them on an incline bench like we did earlier. I'm feeling a little lazy. I don't want to drag that thing out. So let's do it standing. Although personally, I do like it better on a bench. I just feel like I'm able to focus more on my back. You don't need to go crazy heavy with these. So, bend over where you're about 45 degrees with your torso. Keep that back straight. Don't round forward. Slight bend in the elbow. Drive those elbows back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Get the pause here. Don't use momentum here at the bottom, right here. So we don't want to do this fast movement. Nice and controlled. Squeeze. Squeeze. So if you have any kind of low back problem, any of your like bent over rows, etc., bother your back, that's where the bench is helpful. Takes the focus off your low back. We'll do set number 2 here. It also allows you to come more forward, right? So now relative to the floor, look at the angle of my body, as opposed to if I was standing up, I would be more about here. So it allows you to come much further forward. And for me, I feel a better squeeze when I do that. And again, less tension on the low back. So stretch it out real quick. Sets 2 and 3 will finish off each set with a pull apart with the band. Finish off strong. All right. So again, I like a slight bend in the elbow. Drive the elbows back and squeeze. It's 8, 9, 10. Notice how the angle of my elbow really doesn't change. All right, finish off with the band. It'll look exactly the same. Turn sideways so you can see. One more. So essentially what we're doing is making this more of an isolation movement, or closer to an isolation movement than a row would be. So if I do a row right here, I'm driving the elbows back, but I'm still getting a lot of movement at the elbow. So it's 2 joints, shoulder and elbow. This makes this a compound movement. What defines an isolation movement is just 1 joint. So by keeping our arms at this fixed angle, now we're not really getting any movement at the elbow. So we're not using really much biceps here. And this becomes more of an isolation movement for the back. And it's not a big range of motion. It's basically here to there. Just think about squeezing your shoulder blades together. Right there. Water. Two more sets. So chin up, get that arch in the back. Don't round forward. We don't want to be here. We want to be here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah. 7, 8, 9. 2 more. Oh, nice. Let me grab that band. That was 3? Oh, I did. Yeah. Nice. Surprise. We're done. All right. Because it's back day, one more movement. It's for our low back. One, we want to strengthen our low back. You have to develop all the muscles, not just upper or middle. But this is also great for strengthening your core if you have any kind of low back issues. This can be helpful. Definitely was helpful for me. As long as I do these every single week, I can work around the back issues that I have. The irony is, I think we've all experienced this, when you start to feel better, you stop doing the things that made you feel better. Take it for granted. So I just always have to remind myself to stay on this stuff, and that's why I've just tried to integrate it into my routines as much as possible. So I'm going to throw down a mat right here. Okay, done these before. Arms stretch out in front of you. Opposite hand, opposite leg. Squeeze it. Down, and then opposite. And that's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 3 more. 8. 9. 1 more each arm. Good. While we're down here, arms out in front of you, and then just sit back into it. And even come out to one side, and then lean into it. Other way. Nice. Now, I used to do a lot of hyperextensions. I have one right here. It's a fine line for me. It's great for strengthening your low back, hamstrings, and glutes. Depending on how you do it, you can focus a little more on hamstring glutes or focus more on low back. I have to be very careful with these because it's easy for them to be counterproductive. I end up super sore in my low back. But if nothing else, I like coming over here. It's a nice way to stretch out. Come in here. Just get a little bit of a light hang. I'll feel this in the hamstrings and also the low back. Now, as far as focusing more on hamstrings and glutes, that is going to be extension at the hip. So we want to think about keeping our back flatter the whole time, and we come down until we feel a nice stretch in the hamstring like we would if we were doing an RDL. So nice stretch there. And this is extension at the hip. So it's glutes and hamstrings. And you'll feel it. Now, if we want to focus more on low back, then we want extension at the spine. So we want to round our back and then using those muscles in our low back to straighten our spine. That's extension in our spine. And that's going to be those muscles that run up the side of our spine, our low back. Those are our spinal erectors. So I do like using that, but I try to be cautious with it. So that's it. We're going to come back Thursday, and we're going to hit legs. So I'll see you Thursday.